Hi guys. So in today's video, what you're going to see is if you've just purchased HubSpot or if you've not used the deal object. So what the deal object does is whenever you have a transactional relationship with your prospect. Say for example, you are in talks with Acme Corp and there is a probability that they could get converted into a customer. That's when you use the deal object because you know that there's a tentative dollar value assigned to it. Say, for example, $1,000. You could be getting $1,000 from Acme Corp if it closes. So that's when you create a lead so that you can keep track of your pipelines, the number of deals you have at your business, the number of deals which have been closed, won, closed, lost, the ones which are open. So all of that gets captured under deals. And today what you're going to see is how do we set the deal object to optimize for our business operations. So let's dive in. To start off with, I'll go to settings and over here, there's this option called properties. If I go to this drop down and select deal properties, these are all the default deal properties which HubSpot has. There are quite a lot. So if I put 200 a page, I think there are more than 100 properties. Now you can use these, but apart from this, if your business requires any custom properties which need to be configured, you can click on create property, give it a name. For example, if I want to add an option called billing country, which a lot of businesses use, I can select billing country and then the field type over here can be a drop down. Okay, and then I can just add all of these countries over here. A quick, easy way to do this is also to click on load option, click on load presets, click on countries because HubSpot has an inbuilt option to preload all of the country data over here. So if I click load options, all of these would get created and then I click on create. So that is how it is. And there are a lot of these fields which you can configure with the single line numbers and all that. You could go through it. But yeah, that is how you create custom properties for your deals. And once that is done, we'll now move on to objects and go to deals. So over here for setup, the first one you see is manage deal properties. We already did that. I showed you how to create custom properties. The next one is default deal amount. Now the default deal amount for different businesses could be different. So if I click on this drop down, there's a total contract value and there's an explanation for that as well for each option. That all the calculation will default to a 12-month term. Then there's an annual contract value. Then there's annual recurring revenue. So you could choose the one which fits your business process. I'll keep it at that. Then there's this thing called customize the deal form. So when you're creating a new deal as a business, there are a couple of properties or a couple of data points which you would want to capture every time you create a deal. So that's where the create deal form thing comes handy. So over here, by default, when you create a deal, it will take the company name to create a new deal because obviously then there's pipeline, there's deal stage, which are mandatory. Now post this, you can either delete these or have it over there and add more options as well. So if you remember, we created billing country, correct? So I can go over here and if I'm going to capture billing country for all of my deals which I create by default, I can add billing country and then I can change its position over here as well, however it is. And so that is how I can edit this deal form so that every time I'm capturing a new deal, I ensure that all of the data which I require is filled while creating a deal. So I'll just save and close this. So that's how you you edit a create deal form. The next one over here is apply default close date. So over here, I'll just show you whenever we are creating a deal. Yeah, it will always ask you for a close date. The close date is tentatively when do you feel that this particular deal could close, as in it would be either closed won, closed lost, or whatever it is. It's the close date. Now, this is important because it helps you carry out a lot of reporting in terms of your deal, the probability of deal closure in this particular quarter, this particular month, and all that. So, this is very important. And a lot of times people forget to like salespeople forget to fill in this date or update this date, due to which all of our analytics could go for a toss. So over here, what HubSpot does is it gives you an option to apply a default close date when you're creating a deal. So by doing that, you do not have to manually put in a close date, you can directly have a close date from this option. So it can either be this month or next month at the end of a certain period. If you know that your deals most probably close by the end of month or the end of 2 months, you could do that. Or there's a second option wherein you say time for deal creation. For a lot of B2B businesses, 3 to 6 months is like a good chunk of time it takes to close a deal. So you can do that as well. So I can click on months and then I can have like 6 months. So whenever now I create a deal, the close date will automatically be 6 months from now, so that your salesperson does not have to manually fill in, and if he forgets it, that property doesn't stay the way it is. So that is how it is for automating the close date part. And then there are these two new features which have come in, which is split deal among users and allow users to collaborate. And that's like a bit of an advanced thing, but while setting these things up until applying default close date, that is what you need to edit. The next one is associations. I normally, because this is useful if you have a very complicated association levels with companies and contacts. But for all other scenarios, the default one which has been created by HubSpot is enough. You do not need to do anything. Now comes the most important part of deals, which is like the heart of deals, like I like calling it, which is the pipeline. Now, every business has these pipelines, and pipelines are basically elements into which your deal goes, and then it passes through various stages. So, like you see, you can create multiple pipelines over here. So, for example, if you have two different products, so you can create two different pipelines for those two different products so that you can track each product deal separately. So you can create as many as you want. And once your pipeline is ready, then you need to configure your deal stages. Now, again, this varies from company to company. So you need to sit down with your sales team and need to understand what are the various stages through which a deal passes. And then you can just add all of these. So, like you see, you can add stages over here. If you want, you can even delete some stages. But yeah, this is how you create your deal stages over here. Then there's an approval process as well. I'll be creating a separate video for this. But yeah, you can also that there can also be approval set in wherein if a salesperson is trying to change the deal stage from contracts into pending approval, it first needs to be approved by someone. For example, your VP of sales or anyone who's like an HOD, he can approve it. So even that is something which you can set. So that's one part of it. The next one is pipeline rule. So over here, there are a couple of these options which you can add. One is limit deal creation to specific stages. So if you want to create deals only after, so for example, a lot of times what I've seen salespeople doing is they'll not record a deal on HubSpot, but when it's closed, they'll create a deal and just put it as closed one. So this particular toggle limits your users from doing that, because if you limit your creation to specific deal stages, you can just exclude all of those so that your salesperson has to create a deal when it's open or when the discussions are ongoing. The next one is restrict from skipping sales stages. So, for example, over here, a lot of times what salespeople do is there'll be an appointment scheduled and then qualified to buy, presentation scheduled. All of this would happen, but they would not be changing these stages properly or sincerely. So, yeah, and when the deal is closed one, they'll automatically move it from appointment scheduled to closed one. So what this does is it again does not let you capture proper analytics, because the thing with this is whenever you move all of your deals through all of these deal stages, you are able to capture the amount of time a deal spends in each deal stage. So what that helps you and your team is to understand where is like which deal stage is taking the most amount of time, and then you can try and optimize it so that you reduce that time which a deal spends in that particular deal stage. So all of this is captured if you are able to if you move deal stages sincerely. And this particular rule over here helps you do that. It will disallow your users from skipping deal stages. Restrict deal stages from moving backward. Again, this is also like a good one for some companies, wherein if I have a deal which is at contract sent, it cannot move to qualified to buy again, because that means that we did not qualify it properly, which is again like a sales operation issue. So that's the reason why this particular toggle helps you do that. Control deal editing access is self-explanatory. You can select who gets to edit deals over here and add approvals. Now, this is something like I mentioned, I'll be creating a video on. The next one is automate. So over here, for every deal stage, I can create a couple of these automations by going over here. I can send out internal email notification. I can make changes in a particular record, or I can edit a record, or I can even create tasks over here. So all of this is possible through these automations, which can be set again after analyzing your business operations and identifying what are the various processes which need to be automated under each deal stage. And then there are deal tags. So you can add deal tags which suit your business process. Like I've seen a lot of businesses putting in deal tags like needs follow up or pending for approval and all of that. So you can make use of those. So the next one over here is record customization. So what this does is, again, if I come to this particular, if I open any of this deal, so what you see on the left, in the middle, and on the right, all of this, when you create a deal, all of these options are loaded by default. But a lot of times businesses do not want to have a lot of clutter over here, because a lot of these things, if I'm not using tickets or subscriptions, why would I want to have it on my UI? So the record customization feature comes handy over here. So I can click on default view and I can just remove all of these cards over here. Okay, or even from here, it's just a click away. I can just remove it. And what I can also do is, if I want to create a card which is important for my business, I can create cards this way. So this gives me control over what my team can see when they open a particular deal. It's very handy because it'll only show you things which are important for your business and not the other stuff. So that's for the record customization part. Now, then there's preview customization. So what a preview is if I go to deals and if I click on this option called preview, when I just scroll over here, there is this record which populates so that I do not have to go inside each deals to check about the deal information. So even this particular part is possible. I can, like I did for record optimization, I can come over here. I can remove cards which I want, and I can also add cards as per my business process. So even this is useful and can be set up. The next part over here, the last one would be index customization. So the index over here is this particular index which you see. So even this index part is something which you can customize. You can either customize all views, that is basically all of these things at the top. My deals one are all of the views over here, and you can have your default view customization, which is like the default one for all deals. Now if I go to sales, there's one more thing which is important, which is the meeting scheduler. I've created a separate video. You could see it somewhere at the top when you're watching this video. You can do that as well. That is also a very handy feature and which can be used. And the next one over here, which is again a very important feature, is called sequences. So sequences help you automate messages. So like, for example, if you want to follow up with all of your prospects who haven't interacted with you in the past 90 days, you can create a sequence. If I can just click on this, and then I can add all of these steps. So there's an automated email which goes out on day one. Then I can have general tasks for my team members. And then again, I can create another automated email. So all of this can be automated by the use of sequences. If you want, you could let me know in the comments if you want me to make a separate video on sequences. But I think there are a lot of other videos out there as well. And HubSpot has a very good knowledge base around creating sequences. What I want to communicate through this video is what are the various features you should be setting when you when you're setting up your sales up. So sequences is definitely one more important feature. And yes, I think when you set all of these, you've basically set your sales up for sales operations. And your sales team would be more comfortable now working with deals now once you've set all of this up. There are other advanced nuances through it, but I just don't want to complicate things in this video. This is the first step you can take towards optimizing your sales up for your sales team. And once that is done, you can then move on to the next steps. So I hoped this video helped. If you have any queries, do let me know in the comments. Thank you.